Just want to take a minute to welcome everybody to King College, the Student Center Complex, and the M. Jeffrey Bird Boardroom. I'm Sports Information Director Ryan Gasser, and I'd like to welcome all of the administration, faculty, the staff, and the coaches and players that comprise our 24 competitive and championship-winning teams here at King College. Over the last 3 calendar years, King has made major strides in both as an educational institution and in its athletic programming opportunities for its student athletes. In 2010, King was officially accepted as an NCAA Division II member school. In May of 2011, Tornado Athletics found a home as part of Conference Carolinas and immediately began competing with 12 regional schools in 16 different sports. And in just one short year since Athletic Director David Hicks has stepped onto campus to help lead King Athletics into a new era, we have witnessed 2 championship teams, one in the regular season and one in the postseason tournament, and have also witnessed multiple individual national champions crowned, academic and athletic All-Americans named, and national recognition in NCAA tournaments as well as non-NCAA competition championships as well. Now King Athletics is ready to unveil a new layer of excitement within its athletic walls. It's a very exciting day and a significant moment for King Athletics on multiple levels. We are here today to announce the addition of the 25th Tornado Varsity Sport, adding to a very successful group of athletic programs currently hosted by King. Before we begin, I'd like to quickly run down the schedule of events that will comprise this press conference. You will first hear from Athletic Director David Hicks, who will make the official announcement of the addition of King's 25th Varsity Athletic Program. Following Mr. Hicks' announcement, we have constructed a highlight video that will bring a visual component to the newest addition to the Tornado Athletic family. And after viewing the short video, we have in attendance a very special guest that has been instrumental in the development and introduction of this edition. And to keep the suspense just a few moments longer, I'll allow Athletic Director David Hicks to introduce her as well. Following, we will have Head Athletic Trainer and Senior Woman Administrator Shelia to make a few comments, and then close with a few comments from David Hicks. After each person has had an opportunity to speak, we will invite media members to engage our speakers with any questions you may have. And if you have any questions following that, you can see me or Laura Boggin, and we will help you with any needs that you may have. So without any further delay, I'd like to bring forward our first speaker and introduce King Athletic Director, Mr. David Hicks.
Thank you, Ryan. We're going to have to adjust the microphone here a little bit, if that's okay. Thanks to everyone for attending today. For many years, King has been an innovator and a leader in the Tri-Cities in a variety of ways. From being one of the first colleges in this region to offer extensive graduate and professional educational programs for working adults, to laying the groundwork for a medical school, King has long been on the forefront of many exciting trends in this region and throughout the country. That is true athletically as well. We are in our 3rd year, as Ryan said, as an NCAA Division II member. We have transitioned from the NAIA. We have launched many exciting new sports in the past decade that have brought recognition not only to King and to the Tri-Cities, but have brought students from all over the country to the Tri-Cities. Our men's and women's cycling teams last year finished 5th in the national championships in Ogden, Utah. Our women's wrestling team consists of students from Florida, New York, Texas, California, and 11 other states, and has had 8 different individuals represent King and the United States in international competition in the last 3 months alone. Nearly half of our traditional student body at King are student athletes. Our mission and our vision is to utilize athletics to provide access to a great college education through programs that compete at the highest levels of their sport, developing student athletes into tomorrow's leaders ready to make a transformational impact in society. With that as a backdrop, I'm thrilled to introduce King's 25th intercollegiate sport. Once again, King will be a leader and an innovator, becoming only the 8th college to sponsor this sport in the United States. We will join the ranks of Quinnipiac, Alderson Broaddus, University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, Azusa Pacific, Fairmont State, Baylor University, and the University of Oregon in sponsoring one of the most exciting and fastest growing sports in the country, acrobatics and tumbling. So now we will take some time to learn more about acrobatics and tumbling. We have a short video that Ryan has prepared, and then we'll hear from Felicia Mulkey, who is the head coach at the University of Oregon and has been instrumental in developing interest in this sport nationally and in working with the NCAA on various initiatives to get the sport recognized as an emerging sport by the NCAA. So Ryan, when you're ready, we can start the video, and then we'll hear from Felicia.
But today I come here as the expansion director for the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association, and to officially welcome King College to our organization. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to do that. I was able to come to your beautiful campus this summer and visit for a little while, and even more excited to come back for this reason. We are the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association is the national governing body for the collegiate sport of acrobatics and tumbling. And many of you are saying, well, what is that? Acrobatics and tumbling is an evolution of gymnastics, which you just saw on the video. And to give you a little bit of background on it, this skill set that these athletes compete has been around since the early Greeks. Acrobatic gymnastics and tumbling has been around forever. You see it competed in several different disciplines of gymnastics, and so a lot of people, I'm willing to bet everyone listening right now will think gymnastics, they think the Fab Five from the Olympics. That is actually artistic gymnastics. There are several other disciplines of gymnastics under the gymnastics umbrella, which is acrobatic, group gymnastics, trampoline and tumbling. All of those athletes have this skill set. Back in the 40s, this skill set kind of transitioned. You saw cheerleading take over some of this skill set too. You see it competed in cheerleading, you see it on the sidelines. But acrobatics and tumbling, even though it's competed in cheerleading, is gymnastics in origin, and that is the skill set. So these women, I think one of the most exciting things for me, the women that are training in this skill set right now across the nation, the numbers are staggering. Thousands and thousands and millions of women training right now in this skill set. And until this sport came along at a collegiate level, they had very few opportunities. One of the opportunities was to go into collegiate gymnastics, but there's about 1,500 of those opportunities across the nation, with tens of thousands of these athletes graduating every year. Another opportunity for them would be to just stop competing altogether. And sometimes you found these athletes on cheerleading teams. But with the addition of acrobatics and tumbling, with every school that starts the sport, 40 new opportunities for women to compete at the collegiate level who have been training in this skill set their entire lives. And for me, that is the most exciting part about it. There's no height limit, there's no weight limit, pure athleticism. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to see. You saw that they're not in a leotard as the Fab Five. They have numbers on. It looks a lot like a volleyball uniform. Well, that's because we keep stats on the athletes. There's crossover rules between one event to another. And to set it up for you, you're going to see it right down on your basketball arena floor. There'll be a large mat in the middle, 2 mats on the side, and Oregon will probably come in and compete against King head-to-head. Fairmont State will be here competing against King head-to-head. They're standing across the mat from one another, and it's back and forth, real-time scoring. Everything has a start difficulty value. So you'll see when your athletes go out on the floor to compete, This event may start at a 9.85, and they're scored solely on execution of that particular skill. There are 6 different events in an acrobatics and tumbling meet. It lasts about an hour and a half. You will find that it'll be pretty popular on your campus. Our opening meet last year, we drew 2,000 people. We competed against Fairmont State. They were standing room only. That's probably the most hostile environment I've ever been in as a coach. Also, Azusa Pacific, standing room only in their gyms. It's going to be popular and fun. Your fans will get educated, and you're going to find that when they first come, they may not know exactly what they're watching, but they're excited, they know what the score is, and they're going to come back and they're going to educate themselves about it. 6 events, head-to-head, real-time scoring. Sometimes there's 4 athletes on the mat, sometimes there's 24, depending on the heat. Where are you getting these athletes from? I live in Oregon now, but I'm from the South, so this addition to the NCATA is very near and dear to my heart. I know firsthand the amount of talent and the need for this sport in the Southeast region. It is being trained, it's ridiculous how many athletes are around here, and they're training from the age of 3. And King College is now giving them an opportunity to compete at the collegiate level. So thank you for being a leader in that, and this is a jump start for the growth in the Southeast, I have no doubt. So you're getting your athletes, your recruits are going to come from a gymnastics background. You're going to see some come from competitive cheer, but rest assured there was probably gymnastics before that. And they're all over. They're all over the South. There's plenty to go around. One of the things that we love about the NCATA is we are truly opening up opportunities for women. This is not going to take the place of a cheerleading team or an existing gymnastics team. These are women that would not be, they possess the same skill set, but would not be on one of those teams. It's a true new niche and 40 new opportunities. We're working very closely with the NCAA. We submitted our proposal, and it is no longer a matter of when we're going to be an NCAA emerging sport. It's just a matter of when, and there's a process that we're going through to do that. But it's going well, so I'm excited to report that, and more excited that King is going to be competing next year, and I'm so happy that this is the school that started it in the Southeast region. And I look forward to being back on campus, probably in a different light and a different uniform, but always will be happy to come back in the South for any reason that I can. So thank you again, and thank you to David and your staff, and for all of you being leaders for these women and stepping out in front of the curve. We really appreciate it. And the women that will come on your campus for this, they're going to be very appreciative of it too. Thank you.
My name is Shelia, and I'm the head athletic trainer and senior woman administrator here at King College. This year marks my 10th year that I've worked here at King College. I've had the privilege to watch King grow and thrive into the academic institution that it is today. I've been a part of the transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II, and now into the Conference Carolinas. I have watched our sports teams compete on many levels and watched our student athletes graduate and become leaders in the community due to their holistic education and their experiences here at King. Upon my arrival in June of 2002, we had only 11 sports teams and 150 athletes. Since then, we have successfully added 13 new sports teams in the last 10 years, giving men and women the opportunity to compete in the intercollegiate arena. King currently has 450 athletes that make up our 24 sports teams. Of these teams, we are proud to say that 13 are female sports. We have added 7 female teams and 6 male teams since 2002. What an accomplishment, and how proud it makes me that efforts are continually being made to support both men and women. Today, we are proud to announce that King College will be adding our 25th Varsity athletic program, Acrobatics and Tumbling, beginning the fall of 2013. This team will carry 30 to 40 female athletes. These young women will have the opportunity to compete on a national level. This sport is where gymnastics and cheerleading meet at the crossroads. Usually cheerleading and gymnastics, you outgrow one or the other sport in height and weight. Acrobatics and tumbling has no restrictions on it. It is pure athleticism, as Felicia said. It is definitely a spectator sport, and we are very excited to have it here at King College. The goal for this sport is to become an emerging sport in the NCAA in years to come. As the NCAA recognizes and celebrates the 40th anniversary of Title IX this year, it is fitting that we announce that the new addition of another female sport. It is with gratitude that these women have the opportunity to compete in the sporting arena. June 23rd of 1972 marked an important day in the history of this country as legislation was passed in the Title IX bill, allowing women the same opportunities as men. When you think of all the people who came before paving this road, not only the women like Billie Jean King, but the men as well, who helped in passing the bill to give women the same opportunities to compete. Specifically, in the area of athletics, Title IX has survived in the face of repeated challenges and resistance. Title IX currently faces a growing complacency about the need for the law after 40 years, since some contend that women have already made it in the sports and no longer need the support of a federal law. Title IX needs continued support to be vital and progress towards equity in intercollegiate athletics. The law's 40th anniversary offers us an appropriate occasion to reflect on our own philosophies of intercollegiate sport. If we value sports for young people and champion its benefits, then we will strive for comparable participation opportunities and treatment for all student athletes. Title IX's promise is that it serves as a powerful tool and potent reminder that it takes much effort and diligence to bring about a model of intercollegiate athletics that is equitable and fair to all. King is an institution that supports and encourages women's sports. Acrobatics and tumbling is just another example of giving women a platform to compete. So today we are privileged to announce that we will be adding acrobatics and tumbling. We appreciate you all being here today and hope we will see you on campus for a sporting event.
Thank you, Sheila and Felicia. And I can attest to Felicia's comment about the crowd at that Fairmont State meet. I drove up there last winter when we first began considering acro and tumbling, just to see and meet for myself. And I will admit that I was very amazed by not only the size of the crowd, but by the energy that was in the arena. Their gym at Fairmont State, their volleyball team played up there earlier this year in a tournament. It's bigger than our gym. It probably seats 50% more people. And as Felicia said, it was standing room only, and they were very loud. I'm not 100% certain that they knew what they were cheering for, but they were very supportive of those student athletes from Fairmont State. And Fairmont State, for those who don't know, is an institution maybe slightly larger than King, but they're not a 40,000 student university. They've got 1,500, 1,800 students maybe, and I think part of that's probably, much like King, an adult population. But it was a very, very well-supported event, and it was very exciting. Reinforced to me that we were giving our student athletes, with the addition of this sport, a genuine athletic competition. Before we take some questions, again, this is something we're very excited about. We're excited to be a leader. We're excited to be on the leading edge of acrobatics and tumbling as more and more institutions start this sport. As you've seen, it draws heavily from a gymnastics background, which provides a very solid recruiting base for the institution. According to market research from higher education consultant Noel Levins, gymnastics and cheerleading combined represent the largest group of high school student athletes interested in going to college in the states of Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina, which, as Felicia said, is going to give 40+ student athletes the opportunity and access to a college education at a wonderful place like King. My final announcement would be that we will begin the search process for a full-time head acrobatics and tumbling coach next week. The team will, as Sheila said, begin competing in the fall of 2013, and we certainly hope to have the University of Oregon on campus, and hope that many of you will be there for that. So with that, I will turn it back over to Ryan, and if anyone has any questions, we will take those. And thank you all for coming today.
One more. If anybody does have any questions, Daniel here has a microphone just so that we can pick it up a little bit better on our video. So if you have some questions, feel free to open it up to any of our panelists. If not, I'm going to start asking questions.
I'll ask one then.
All right.
For David, were you interested in adding a sport regardless? Was that something you're interested in to expand, or was it that this sport just captured your attention so much that you felt like it needed to be added to the program?
Do I need the microphone to pick it up on the webcast, or can I just talk?
I'll bring it to you.
I think it was a little of a combination of both. We're always looking for ways to be innovative and to be leaders, and we're always looking for ways that athletics can contribute to the college's overall mission. Any college wants and needs more students, so we're always looking for ways that we can contribute to that. Acrobatics and tumbling offer really a unique experience that's going to set King apart and continue to make us a leader. Provides an experience, as Felicia said, that a lot of student athletes don't have. There are not many opportunities for someone with a gymnastics background to come and compete at the college level. And that the opportunity for us to provide that type of access to high school students and give them the opportunity to get a college education and compete in a sport that they love and are passionate about was really a driving force.
How will the recruiting process work, and how many athletes do you need to fill out a roster to compete?
Felicia, you may have to help me here. 28 is a competition roster.
That's a game day competition.
That's your game day competition roster. So that's, and I think the minimum, you can compete with 18, a minimum. We'll begin the process for hiring a head coach next week. Our goal will be to have that person on board as soon as possible and begin out visiting high schools, gymnastics, gyms, clubs, with the goal that we really do not anticipate any problem having 25 to 30 athletes by next year. As I mentioned, this is a huge recruiting pool that we'll be drawing from in the Southeast. As Felicia mentioned, we'll be the only institution in the Southeast sponsoring the sport. So we will hire a coach in the very near future who will begin the recruiting process, and we anticipate no problems whatsoever. I know other institutions in other parts of the country that have started the acro and tumbling have had very similar success in their first year of recruiting.
I asked the tough questions. This is primarily for David, but Felicia, I'd also like you to chime in a little bit. Just talk about the process of how you were introduced to acrobatics and tumbling, and just the process getting here today. You, David, as an administrator, and Felicia, your contributions to King bringing this to campus.
Well, I think it started for us probably sometime last fall or early last winter. Conversations I'd had, news releases I'd seen about the sport starting, it was very intriguing because it was unique. And as I started to do research, look into it, realizing that there is a huge population of students out there that are unserviced, don't have opportunities to go on competing. I was a part of a conference call that Felicia was on, was hosted by some folks from the NCATA. It was very exciting, and again, we started looking more seriously into it. Shelia and I were on a couple of conference calls with some folks from the NCATA talking about it. And last, I think it was February, again, I went to Fairmont State, watched it, saw the excitement, saw the number of girls. I actually talked at the time with the president of Alderson Broadus University, who will be starting acro in fall of 13. He and I talked for quite a while about just the opportunities and what he saw as the benefits, and really reinforced most of what we had found out about this being just a great opportunity, both for the college and for young women who are interested in competing. So we progressed, discussed it at the administrative level of the college, and made sure we vetted everything and took all the proper steps to make sure that when we did it the right way, and we're going to be able to put a quality product out on the court.
Well, I am the director of expansion and I'm pretty persistent, so that's why, no. Just had the opportunity to talk with not only David, but a lot of different schools in the country, and there is an amazing amount of interest. You're going to hear a lot more about the NCATA and acrobatics and tumbling within the next year, but it was just going through the process, and it's been a pleasure working with this staff because they are doing it the right way. They ask all the right questions and have taken their time and consideration, so it's been a great process for us.
One thing I will add that I think Felicia hinted at, but I don't think spent a lot of time, is that NCATA does fall under the umbrella of USA Gymnastics, and they are in the process of, I guess, strengthening that relationship. Is that the right terminology? Under the umbrella of USA Gymnastics, all of the meets are scored by the same or very similar standards that draw from gymnastics scoring. She mentioned the level of difficulty, and they're scored on lots of different levels there. So there's a very strong relationship there, and they're being very proactive with USA Gymnastics and the NCAA to get that NCAA emerging sports status, which will be a big boon to other institutions who are interested in starting.
With the USA Gymnastics, we are very closely aligned with them. All of our meets are currently sanctioned by USA Gymnastics, and that what that means is education for the coaches, safety, liability, everything that USA Gymnastics brings to the table. The NCATA also has that as well, so that adds everything to our organization.
Felicia, just a little bit of background information. Felicia, as we mentioned, is the head coach of acrobatics and tumbling at the University of Oregon, and as well as an innovator of this sport, a now two-time national champion, is that correct? So not only has she been an innovator in this sport, but very successful at it. From your standpoint, Felicia, can you take us through a typical meet so that people can get a little bit of a prelude to what to expect when teams like yours and Baylor come to the Student Center and compete?
Sure. Okay, basketball arena, mat on the floor. Warm-ups start about an hour before the crowd starts coming in. It's the same feel as the beginning of a basketball game, actually. Lots of stuff going on the floor, all the warm-ups. The meet, everything happens right there in front of you. The meet is actually 6 events, a compulsory event, which has 4 different heats in it. And I expect you all to be taking notes, because you should all know this perfectly what I've done. But it's a compulsory event with 4 different heats. Everything is head-to-head, so King would go out and compete, followed right by Oregon. The scores are being announced immediately after. And so the compulsory event are skills that are standard to the collegiate level. Everyone across the country competes the exact same thing, apples to apples. Starting in the second event, which is the acro event, up to 4 athletes on the floor during each heat, and there's 3 different heats. Each of the heats have different specific requirements. I won't make you listen to that. But again, it's head-to-head, real-time scoring. That event will compete 4 athletes at a time in each heat. The third event is the pyramid event, and that's the stacking event. So they're 2.5, 3 people high. There's 3 heats in that as well. At that time, you can have up to 24 athletes on the floor, depending on which skills that you're competing. Then there's halftime, so you guys can get popcorn, and the teams can have a little touch on the mat getting ready for the second half of the event. The fourth event is the toss event, and that looks a lot like diving for those of you who aren't familiar with our sport. It's very quick. There's up to, the first heat has 5 athletes on the floor. They toss an athlete in the air. She's twisting and or flipping and doing different skills. Again, all the preset difficulty value. The second event is a synchronized event, so there's 10 athletes on the floor doing the same toss. The third is 5 athletes again. Head-to-head, real-time scoring. So again, come to that first meet, even if you don't know what's going on, you know if King's ahead. And then the 5th event is the tumbling event. There's actually 6 heats in this event, and 3 of them are group heats where 4 athletes are tumbling at the same time. The next heat is 3, the next heat is 2 athletes, and then the last 3 heats of the tumbling event are individual heats where they're 1 athlete going head-to-head. The last event, I think, and from what we found at Oregon, because this was a brand new sport at Oregon, we did a lot of education, the last event is the coup de grace. That is the team event. There's 24 athletes on the floor. It's the only part of the acro and tumbling meet that's set to music. And it's everything that you've seen in the previous heats put together in 2 minutes and 30 seconds of music, and it's all just skill-based. The scoring is not subjective at all. There's certain requirements that you have to hit. What we've heard from our fans, we're part of the season ticket package in Oregon, and what we've heard from the fans is the football fans and the basketball fans are the ones who are coming in and watching it, and they say, I've never understood before how much athleticism it took to do any one of these skills until I watched them individually in the heats. And then all of a sudden there's 24 out there doing it synchronized all together. So it brings a little bit of credibility and a little bit more understanding. And we kind of explain the heats as we go through and explain the scoring. So your first year, you'll educate your fans a little bit, but then they'll be educating everyone else the next year. So.
Are there any other questions from Jordan? Anybody?
All right, well, once again, thank you everybody for coming out today and enjoying this moment with us as we introduce acrobatics and tumbling here at King College. I encourage you, if you have a few moments, to stick around and introduce yourself or meet Coach Mulkey. She is a fantastic resource of information. Her and I probably spent, about an hour on the phone just talking about this casually. So if you want to learn really, really quick, she'll give you a crash course and you'll learn a lot just by talking to her. And we just, again, want to thank you all for coming to King College and enjoying this moment with us, and hope that you return back and enjoy this great sport with us as we move forward with the sport, with bringing additional opportunities to our female student athletes, and continue to grow with both an athletic program and an institution. So again, thank you very much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you around very soon. Thank you.